So thank you everyone for coming today. My name is Brandon Grant. I'm the marketing director here at QuoteWerks. Today we're going to be demonstrating QuoteValet and how you can use it to essentially help you automate the sales process even further. We use QuoteValet in-house for every single document we send, and it's a really valuable tool. Makes things a lot easier to get payments from customers, just even getting notifications from customers that they viewed the quote. So we'll kind of go over everything today, kind of how it works. So basically, what is QuoteValet? What is QuoteValet Insight, which is a reporting vehicle, and then we'll demonstrate a lot of the major features and functions of QuoteValet. At the end of the webinar, if you do have additional questions, feel free to post those in the questions box, and I'll answer those when we get to the end here. And then additionally, we are offering free trials. So if you're interested in testing out QuoteValet and seeing if it's something that might be a good fit for your company, just let me know and we can set you up with a trial. So what is QuoteValet? For those of you that are unfamiliar with it, QuoteValet is the online quote delivery vehicle for QuoteWerks. Basically, it allows you to send a dynamic electronic version of your quote to your customer. This in turn allows the customer to change quantities on the items, select various options, but most importantly, they can electronically sign and accept the document. If you are using a credit card processor, we support about 80 different gateways. So you can actually even collect payments, whether it's a deposit payment, a partial payment, or even progress payments, we can do that. You'll also receive email and dashboard notifications as you go through the various steps of the document. So as the customer views a quote, accepts it, posts a comment, basically interacts with the document in any way, you'll receive a notification that they've done that. Included in the QuoteValet subscription is QuoteValet Insight. QuoteValet Insight is a reporting engine for QuoteValet. So essentially it just allows you to run very quick and updated reports on your QuoteValet documents. So you can compare sales reps, you can track the interactions between your customers. You can also use it for approval and peer review as well if you're using those. And there's also a couple extra dashboards that we'll go over today as well. So who uses QuoteWerks, or QuoteValet rather? Any QuoteWerks customer that uses QuoteValet or that could get use out of QuoteValet would be someone that wants to track customer interactions. You want to provide an easy and simplified way for your customers to electronically accept and make payment. Also, if you want to be able to run quick and updated reports on your sales reps and kind of what they're doing in QuoteWerks, this is a great way to get that information as well. So here's kind of the some of the major features with QuoteValet. One of the biggest ones is going to be the first one here, the notifications. This is where you're going to receive those email and dashboard notifications and also auto reminders. So you can actually set out auto reminders. This will allow you to just kind of be on top of what your customers are doing. So when they view a quote, if they accept it, if they post a comment, if they make a payment, if their document's about to expire, we can automatically send out an email on your behalf. So there's a lot of functionality with those notifications. Approval and workflow. Any of you that are using approvals, management approvals in QuoteWerks, but are not using them in QuoteValet, they've become a lot easier to manage in QuoteValet because you can actually do them through a web browser, so you don't actually have to log into QuoteWerks to approve a document if you want to. Same thing with peer reviews. You can actually post notes about a specific document instead of having to use the notes tab in QuoteWerks. Collecting payment. This is a big one. Being able to actually collect some sort of payment from your customer. So there's 7 different payment options available. You can collect partial payments. You can have your customers put down deposits. I'll show you how to do that here in just a few minutes. And we support credit card, ACH or e-check, wire transfer, check, and more. So there's a variety of payment options that you can set up on the document to make sure and just kind of facilitate accepting those payments in QuoteValet. Additionally, we have a shopping cart feature in QuoteValet. The shopping cart feature allows you to create an order form for your existing customers. So if you sell a lot of the same products or services to the same customers, you could create them a specific shopping cart page that they could go to and place reorders. This would allow them to change quantities. They could select additional options. You could also just create kind of a generic one that your customers can go to and kind of facilitate purchasing from that page as well. And then finally, dynamic documents. This is where you can set up, basically you're giving your client a lot of options on the document itself. So they can have mutually exclusive options, just straight up optional items. changing quantities. You can assign videos to your document. So if you want to provide more documentation or more information about maybe a new product or service you're offering, you could do it in video form instead of just with pictures. And then we also added just recently in the last release of QuoteWerks, file sharing. So you can actually share files between the sales rep and the client. So if you want to update or upload various document types, you can do that. As always, there's a ton of resources available on the website. So if you do have questions, let us know. But we are offering free trials of QuoteValet. So if you want to test it out, definitely make sure you let us know. There's a ton of videos on the website about QuoteValet and the specific features. And then obviously there's information in the help file. There's the live and recorded webinars, and also the users forums, a great place for that information as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and switch over to QuoteWerks so we can talk about the QuoteValet features. All right, so we're going to start with a open document in QuoteWerks, and then kind of show you some of the functionality and upload it to QuoteValet so you can actually see how this works from start to finish. So we have our document in QuoteWorks, but we want to make some additional changes to it. Now, if you're not using section headers yet, section headers are a really great way to organize your document. This is especially apparent in QuoteValet because QuoteValet will recognize the section header, so it makes it really easy for your customer to kind of understand and kind of view what you're selling them. I have mine just pretty generic ones with products, services, warranty option, and optional items. So the first thing I want to talk about is the ability to change the quantities. So this is also a newer feature that we added where your customers can actually change the quantity of individual items. So if you highlight an item or multiple items, right click, and we go into our edit line attributes, you'll see there's a line attribute that says allow QuoteValet quantity change. And if we actually change that from no to yes and hit OK, this will allow the customer to change that option. So maybe they don't want 3 of them, maybe they want 5 of them or 10 of them or whatever. This will allow you to, or allow the customer to make those changes on their QuoteValet document. Additionally, you'll see down here at the bottom, we have our warranty options. So we have a 1-year and a 2-year warranty. So if you want to give your customer the option to select between the various warranty options here, we can do that by highlighting both of them, right-clicking, choosing edit line attributes, selecting yes, and then we're going to assign them to an exclusive group. So everything I've done up to this point should be pretty normal if you're using optional items. You've seen that before, but this is where it's going to be really useful. Is we're just going to call this warranty for this exclusive group. And what this will do is this will create a radio button on the QuoteValet document itself where the customer can actually select between the 1-year or the 2-year warranty. So if you ever have options on your documents where you want the customer to select one of the 2 or 3 or 5 options, however many you've set up, you can use this functionality to actually create these warranty options or these mutually exclusive options on your document. So for our example, it's going to be the warranty option here. So we'll go ahead and hit OK. Get a message that only one of them can be selected at a time, so that's good. And then we'll move on to our optional items now. Now our optional items, we want to mark them as purely optional. So what this means, we want the customer to be able to select or deselect these. So to do that, we're going to right click, go back to edit line attributes, and we're going to change the optionals to yes. And then typically we recommend checking is selected because basically this will pre-select them for the customer. That way if they don't look very closely at the document, it's already included in the total. But if they decide they don't want it, because it'll be a checkbox on their QuoteValet document, the customer will actually be able to deselect these options or pick one of the options they want to deselect. So this just gives your customer a lot of flexibility and essentially a lot of choice without having to come back to you to make those adjustments or those changes to these items on the document. So we're going to go make those optional items for them and then click OK. And that'll update our document. So far we've changed the quantity option for our first item here, created mutually exclusive options here, and then set these items as optional as well. So now a couple other options we have available before we upload this to QuoteValet. We talked about it in the PowerPoint is being able to attach like a video to the document. So if you wanted to include a maybe a video about your company, maybe it's a new client, so you want to provide some information about the products and services you offer. You can do that in a couple different ways. First is if we go to our links tab here, you'll see down at the bottom, there's a QuoteValet videos option. And what this will allow us to do is actually attach this video to the document header. So basically it becomes like part of the document in QuoteValet. So if we want to do that, we could. The other option is to add a video to a specific product. So maybe you have a new product that you're pitching to the customer or a new service, and you can actually select an item, click on the grid toolbar here, the little picture icon, and then we can add a video directly from here. And if we click add video, we'll go ahead and we'll just add one. And you click on the drop down, you'll actually see a list of your videos that you have on YouTube. If you sync your QuoteValet subscription with your YouTube account, you can actually pull directly from your YouTube account. If you haven't done that or you haven't synced it, that's fine. You can actually just copy and paste the video URL from YouTube as well, and then you can put in a custom title. I'm just going to pick one here so I don't have to go searching for a URL to choose. So we'll say QuoteValet purchasing, and then we'll hit OK. And then now this particular item will have a video associated within our quote on QuoteValet. So the customer, like I said, if it's a new product or service, they can actually watch a video about that particular item just to give them a little more information or background about that particular item. And you can set a video for every single item on your document. You can set a video for multiple header videos. So if you want to include more like generic information about your company or about the sales rep that they're working with, you could do that as well. So a lot of flexibility and a lot of options for using that functionality. So we've made some changes to the items. Now we want to work on how the customer is going to pay us. So down at the bottom, you see we have the deposit required. And if we click on the ellipsis button here, this will open up our deposit required window. So I have it set for the full amount. That basically whatever the customer selects, they're going to have to pay our company the full amount for the document. But maybe you only want the customer to put a percent in. So you could actually have QuoteValet accept just maybe 20% of the document. Or maybe you just want a fixed amount. Say, we need $4,000 to get started. You could do that. You could also do a percent of a line in the document. Maybe you want the customer to pay, 50% of the first line in the document or of the installation. You could actually specify that. And then finally, you have the option of totaling up multiple items in the document. So maybe you want the customer to pay for all the products up front. So we would say 100, change it to product. And we also want them to pay for maybe 50% of the labor up front just to get started. So you could do that. And we'll do the same thing for service and hit OK. And this will actually total up what that amount would be. So there's a lot of flexibility for setting that here for the deposit amount. Now, whatever you set for the deposit amount, that'll be essentially the initial or the first payment that the customer makes. Once they make that payment, if you want to come back into this document and collect payment for the rest of the document, you can do that afterwards. And I'll show you how that's done here. So for our example, I think I'm going to just let's just make it easy. We'll say that we want them to pay half of the document up front. So we'll do deposit required is 50%. And then on the sale info tab is where you can set up your payment options. So this is where you can specify how the customer is going to make payment to you. So I have two default payment options that I set up. I have my credit card and my e-check and or ACH. So basically I have the option of the customer paying by credit card. And you can see here we've added a convenience fee. So if we edit this payment option, you can see that we've actually set it up. So we've said that, hey, these are the 4 card types that we accept. There's a calculation charge of a percent charge a 3% fee. And then you could even disable this payment option if you wanted to as well. So you have some flexibility there. The other option I've set up is ACH, where basically if you pay by ACH or e-check, customer gets a 3% discount for paying by check since we don't have to pay that credit card fee. So again, there's a lot of flexibility here in deciding how you want to accept payment. If you do like net 30 or net 60 or something like that, you can add another payment option here and you can change it to like a custom payment type. And you can see here I've created one that says net 30 already. And then I could add that one to the document and the customer could accept this. And what the really nice thing is if the customer does accept the document in QuoteValet and then selects net 30, is that they'll actually be able to send a message to you notifying you that this is the option that they're going to pay through. So it just makes little things easier on the accounting side where you're not trying to figure out which way they're going to pay. They'll have already selected it. And again, at any point if you want to adjust the payment options, you can do that. So if you didn't provide a payment option you wanted to, you can always come back to that. Okay. So we have our payment options, we have our deposit set, we have our line items set. Let's go ahead and upload this document to QuoteValet. So to use QuoteValet, it's going to be a very similar process as you've done before. You would select your cover page if you haven't already set it. Select your layout. If you have any other documentation you want to include, like any literature documentation, any spec sheets, anything from the links tab, you can choose to include that. And then really the only difference is instead of choosing email after you've previewed it, you're simply going to choose upload to QuoteValet. So we'll do upload to QuoteValet. And if you saw there, that brings up the approval window where basically if you didn't have master rights and you've set up approvals in your QuoteWerks installation, then the sales rep wouldn't be able to upload that document to QuoteValet until it's been approved by management or until they fixed whatever was wrong in the document. So since I have master rights, I can override that, but that's essentially where it'll stop the rep. If you have set up approvals, they won't be able to go further than there. So when you get to the upload quote to QuoteValet window, you'll have the option to view the PDF file. So we are going to include a PDF, but I'll show you what that looks like here in a minute. We also have the option to set up reminder options. So reminder options are automatic QuoteValet emails that we can send to the recipient, so your client, or to the sales rep, or both. And you can actually use it for these three categories. So if the document hasn't been viewed within so many days, we can essentially send a reminder email to the customer saying, hey, we sent you this quote, doesn't look like you viewed it yet, here's the link so that you can view the document. You can also have that document sent to the sales rep instead. So if you want the sales rep to follow up but not send an email to the customer, you can do that. We can also do it for when the document is expiring. So this one's really useful when a document's about to expire. You can have it automatically send an email to the client and also the sales rep. And then finally, if a document has been accepted but not paid, if you do accept payment via QuoteValet and you want the customer to not only accept the document but also make payment on it, then you can set this to send out that auto reminder as well. And then here's where you'll actually choose the output of the document. So I don't have a lot of them, but we'll just choose our customer-facing written signature. So this is what the document's going to look like when we send it out to the customer. So we'll choose upload, and we'll upload that document to QuoteValet. And then we'll go ahead and preview the document before we send it to the customer. So this will bring us to the preview mode, and you'll see here it's actually saying it's customer-facing mode. And this will also tell you that this is just a representation. You don't want to send the URL for this page because this is the internal view. So it's not going to register a view with the customer. So you want to keep this one internally only. But it allows you to view the document before you actually send it out to the customer just to make sure everything looks good. So we'll just kind of scroll quickly through it. Yep, everything looks good. All right. We're going to come back to this, so don't worry. So we just want to finish the steps here. So everything looks good, so we're ready to send it to the customer. So when you're ready to send your document to the customer, simply choose Send Email. So it'll open up the Send Email window, and this is where you can make some adjustments to the email if you'd like. So you can see here, we have our customized text for our email, but if you wanted to use one of your templates that you've set up, you can select from your templates here. If you want to choose who you're sending the document to, by default, we're going to use the to-person, but if you want to change that, you can. Same thing with like adding a CCC or a CC or a BCC, you can do that as well. And then when you're ready to send it, you simply click send, and that'll send this link out to the customer. Important to notice, there is no attachment. So we're not attaching the PDF, we're just sending the customer the link. If any of you have purchased anything through QuoteWerks recently, within the last couple of years, everything we send is via QuoteValet. So you have probably seen this before where you just got a link to your quote, click on the link, and it opens it up in your web browser. I don't have email set up on this machine, so I'm just going to close out of here, but we'll pretend I sent this to the customer. And as the customer, they received the quote, and so they clicked on the quote and opened it up in their web browser. So once the customer clicks on that link in their web browser, a couple things are going to happen. Obviously, their quote's going to open up in their web browser, but it's also going to send an email to the sales rep notifying them that their customer has viewed the quote for the first time. So you'll see the quote number, customer name, and the date and time that the document was opened for the first time. So you actually get that notification. At that same time, you'll also get a dashboard notification in QuoteValet, which we'll go over here in just a moment. So you can see all the notifications that you have, not just for that document, but for any of the other documents as well. All right, so let's scroll down a little bit. So the first thing you'll notice is here's our quote number, and then it has our prepared for, prepared by, and then we have our PDF. So if we click on the PDF, this would be the exact same PDF that you send to the customer. So if they need a copy of this, they can easily download this so they have a copy for their own records available. So that looks good there. And then if we scroll down, we get into the line item details. So this is where the customer is going to have a lot of flexibility to make changes to the document. So if you remember, the first item we changed on the document was this first one where we said, okay, we want to change the ability for the customer to adjust the quantity. So right here, the customer can actually specify the quantity that they want. So they put 3, but maybe they say, you know, we actually need 5. And we can just click out of there. And then what they can do is actually scroll down to the bottom and update it. And that'll actually update the total of the document. So in real time, as they're making changes, QuoteValet will actually let them update the total of the document so they can see what their payment would be. Additionally, you'll see if we had our pictures associated with our items, those are appearing on the document. And then we also have that video that we attached. So if we clicked on that, that would open up the video in YouTube so that the customer could watch the video about that particular item. This is also one of my favorite features in QuoteWerks, is where the customer can actually make changes to the document, such as selecting like a warranty. So if you want to give them the option between the 1-year or the 2-year warranty, you can do that. And when they select one of the other ones, the other one will no longer be selected. So just being able to give your customer those types of options is going to be really, really helpful. And then finally, your true optional items. So these are basically take it or leave it items. Do you want them, yes or no? Customer can actually come in here and decide, you know what, we don't really want these last 2. So we'll choose update, and then our total will be updated as well. As you go through and update your total in your document, your payment options will automatically recalculate as well. So that'll recalculate whether you have that convenience fee associated with it or the discount, or if it's just the flat payment. Those will all be set here. And then the customer can actually select, do they want to pay by ACH? Do they want net 30? Do they want a credit card? They can make their selection here. And then down here is where they can actually sign off on the document. Now, before they sign off on the document, if they have any questions about the document, they can actually come over here and post a comment. So let's say the customer says, you know what, I have a question about line 2. So we'll submit that. So that'll post the customer's question here. As a sales rep, you'll receive an email notifying you that your customer posted a question. Additionally, if we go back into the QuoteWerks document and we go over to our QuoteValet tab that's available now, we'll actually receive a bunch of information regarding this particular document. So now we'll actually see that the document has been created and uploaded by the customer, by this sales rep. They viewed it for the first time. They viewed the PDF attachment, they select an option, and then they posted a comment. So on the sales rep side of things, if you'd like to respond, you can either reply directly to the email that comment would have sent you, or you can log into the view the sales rep facing page and reply in QuoteValet so you can keep all the communication in one place. So if I went ahead and clicked on that, that'll prompt me to log in. And you're just going to log in using your QuoteWerks username and password. And you'll see here, it'll tell you you're in the sales rep facing mode, you're in an internal document. Let's go ahead and scroll down to the bottom. And then this is where you can respond to your customer. So you can see here, customer says, I have a question about line 2. And we'll just say, you know, we updated it for you. Simply refresh the document. So if you need to make a change for them, you can just re-upload the document to QuoteValet. They can refresh it and then they'll see that change, or they can just click on the link to open up that document. Now, when you post a comment here, obviously you can see it's kind of starting a thread in almost like a forum where as someone posts, you'll just respond and respond and respond. Additionally, this sends an email to the customer. You'll also get a copy of it as well. So they'll be notified via email that you did respond to their comment. And the great thing about our emails that come from QuoteValet is that it's going to have the comment text in there. So there may be no action for the customer to take. Maybe you're just informing them it's updated, and they'll come back to it. Whatever it is, the customer can actually go in and click on the link in that comment email and open up and see the quote in QuoteValet. So again, they'll have that information. And then if we just close out of here, if we refresh this activity back in QuoteWorks, we'll see that the sales rep has posted a comment and actually responded there. So again, just keeps track of everything and lets you kind of know what's going on with the document as that happens. Now you'll see there's actually some other options here. So besides the view the sales rep facing page, we also have the view customer facing page. This is just that preview page so you can see what the customer sees without it counting as a view. We also have a really cool feature where you can recall the quote, and recalling the quote will temporarily pull the quote down so that the customer can't accept or make payment on the document. So maybe you realize you left something off the document that's really, really important. Maybe you forgot to charge tax or shipping, or maybe there's an item that's been discontinued. So before the customer can accept it, if you recall the quote, you'll be prompted to put in a reason, and you could say something like, didn't assign tax. Please give me a moment to update. Hit OK. So we'll get a confirmation that the quote's been recalled. And then if the customer goes into their email and they click on that link, this is what they'll see when they try to recall the quote. So this is actually the message that they'll see. They'll see, this is my sales rep's name, this is my contact email address for my sales rep, and then this is my text. So I need to go make that change, make that adjustment. So let's go into our quote, and we'll go ahead and we'll just assign the tax rate. So we'll say it's 6.5%, and we'll save it. And then all you need to do is re-upload it to QuoteValet. And once you've uploaded the document once to QuoteValet, you'll see there's an express mode button that's available where this will save any changes you made, upload and preview it all at one time so you don't have to walk through those steps again. So if you've done that once before, you'll have that option. Additionally, if your document requires approval now, maybe you did change something on the sales rep side of things, so now it does require management approval, the approval requirement message will pop up. Since I have master rights, I can override this, but if you didn't have master rights, if your sales reps didn't have master rights, they wouldn't be able to override it. They'd have to either make the change to the document or request approval before they could upload it or re-upload it to QuoteValet. So we've re-uploaded it to QuoteValet with our changes, so our tax is on our document now. If the customer goes in and opens up their quote, that same link that they had is now active again. So we actually use the same link over and over again. So the link is specific to a document in QuoteValet. So that way you can make as many revisions as you want, make as many adjustments as you want, and that customer can always go back to that initial email if they need to and view that document with that same link. So it just makes things a lot easier to manage so they're not having to see, oh, I have 5 different links for 5 different quotes. No, we'll just keep updating the same quote and keeping that same link. So it makes things a lot easier. Okay, so we made the change for the customer. They're ready to go. Perhaps the customer has some documentation that they need you to fill out before they can move forward. Maybe they have like a schedule of availability for installation that they want you to be aware of, or maybe they have a purchase order requirements that they need you to fill out, maybe some vendor information. Whatever it is, the customer can actually come here and upload files that they want you to fill out or that they want to share with you. So this is really, really useful where the client can say, hey, I need you to fill this out, attach this document, and then as the sales rep, you'll receive a notification that the customer has shared a file with you, and you can go and download it and then make any changes. And then you can go on your side of things and drag and drop it here and add it as well. So very simple. If we do select files to, and we'll do a design draft here. So we have our PDF document, and when we upload a document to QuoteValet, QuoteValet will prompt us for one, if you want to change the file name, you can. So I'm just going to leave it as that. I can also say, oh, it's a drawing, and then I can put any notes about it and then click OK. And it'll actually update that information. So as the sales rep, I received an email notifying me that my customer has shared a file with me. And then again, as a sales rep, you could go in and download that file or share any of your own. So as on the client side of things, maybe the customer accepts it, and then you say, okay, we need you to fill out this form or this additional information so that we can schedule your installation or your delivery or whatever it is. You could actually share those files through the uploads area here. So the QuoteValet file share is just an easy way to kind of share that documentation back and forth. Okay, so customer has shared that file. They're ready to move forward. So they want to go ahead and sign off on the document. So they'll agree to the terms and conditions here. If they want to reference a PO number, they can do that, and we'll write that back in the QuoteWerks. If they have any comments, maybe there's someone specific they want you to contact for payment or for scheduling or whatever it's going to be, they can put those comments in here. The email address here will be the email address that's on the document, but they can change it. So if they want the confirmation information to go to someone else, they can do that. And then they can simply sign off on the document. So we could say, Brandon Grant signs off on this and signs off on the document, and then simply click to accept. So when the customer signs off on the document and it's accepted, a couple things are going to happen. First, it's going to bring them to the acceptance screen. Then it's going to send a copy of everything to the customer and to the sales rep. So the customer is going to get a copy of the PDF version of the quote and also the screenshots of the QuoteValet document. So there'll also be date and time stamps, so they'll have all of that for legal reasons. Also IP address, that type of thing. And the sales rep, and we call that a acceptance package. And the sales rep also gets a copy of the acceptance package. We also link the acceptance package to the QuoteValet document. So if we go back to our QuoteValet document here, and we don't want to convert this to an order just yet, but you'll actually see here, we got a confirmation that this document was signed off on by Brandon, this is the email address at this time and this IP address. You'll see the acceptance package. So if for some reason your customer doesn't get a copy of that, you can always pull it down from here and you can send it to them if they need a copy. You'll also receive an email notifying you that they did accept the quote, and the customer receives that as well. So all that's kind of tied together so that everyone's in the loop that this has been accepted. And then if you accept credit card payments or PayPal, or you've set up payment options in QuoteWerks, your Pay Now button will be available for the customer. So the customer can click on this and actually go to the payment screen. If you are not going to be collecting payments through QuoteValet, that's fine. This Pay Now button just won't be there. That's really the only difference, is that they just won't make payment through QuoteValet. You can go through your normal payment processing at that point if you're going to invoice them and have them cut your check or whatever it is. However, if you are going to accept payment, then we'll click on the Pay Now button. This will bring them to the payment window. And just because they selected one of the payment options doesn't mean they can't change it. So they could actually come here and say, okay, you know what, we actually want to pay by ACH. Select ACH instead, and that'll bring in the ACH information so that they can put in their bank name, their account number, all that information there. Or if they are going to pay by credit card, they can put in the credit card here. Net 30, if they do put in net 30, you can see here there's an option for them to put in notes. So maybe they say, submitted the order over to our accountant. They'll cut a check, this week or next week or whatever. And that'll actually send an email to the sales rep notifying them that the customer plans to pay this way. So again, just some flexibility there. And then this amount is going to be based, like I said, on the deposit that was set earlier. Once they pay that amount, if you want to request another payment, you can do that through the QuoteValet page, which we'll go through here in just a moment. Okay, so the customer's accepted the quote. You open up the quote in QuoteWerks. You're going to be prompted to convert this quote to an order, because that's how we close a quote in QuoteWerks. So when the customer accepts it, QuoteWerks says, hey, customer's accepted it. Let's move this quote to an order. So we'll go ahead and we'll hit OK. If you're using a CRM or PSA that we integrate with, then that'll trigger to update the opportunity that QuoteWerks had created and update that information. So our quote's been converted to an order. You have a couple options now. So now we can actually view the payment request page. So if you just want to see if the customer's made payment, you can actually scroll down here and you can scroll to the bottom. You can see if they've made any payments. You can also choose make payment by proxy. Maybe the customer said they were going to pay by credit card and they haven't, and then a couple days later a check shows up for the payment. So what you could say, you can actually do it's basically a manual payment, is you do make payment by proxy. And you said, hey, yeah, this customer, they're going to pay their deposit with a company check. And we'll say paid by check, and the amount was for, we'll say 4,500 even, and then hit OK. So that's a way that you can apply essentially like partial payments, or if you get a payment through another method than what's available in QuoteValet, you can do make payment by proxy. If you haven't received a payment, or if you want to request additional payments, you can do request payment. And you can actually say, we want to do the remaining balance. And you can set the amount, so we'll just say 932.88, and then you can select the payment options and hit OK. And this will actually open up an email window with a link to that payment page, so the customer can then make payment to that particular document. So a lot of flexibility in requesting payments, and there's a lot of different things that you can do for requesting payments. And you'll actually see here that current payment request requested on February 12th, so it actually kind of tracks as you're requesting those. Any payments that come through, you'll actually see them here in this window as well. And then the payments can be exported over to QuickBooks if you're using QuickBooks. When you export a document over to QuoteWerks, if there's a payment associated with it, we'll be able to carry that over as well. Okay, so our customer has made payment, so we're good to go on that. We're going to move forward with everything. So now this is the information that you see in this document here, this document that we have open. On the QuoteValet dashboard, you actually have access to all your documents. So there's 3 tabs on your QuoteWerks dashboard. You have your inbox, your reporting, and your payments tab. The inbox tab is essentially what we like to think of like your living, breathing documents. These are the documents that your clients are interacting with currently. And the reason we say that is because when you see a notification here, if you click on the notification, you'll see the entire document's history. Well, if you look at one of the documents and you say, okay, there's not really anything for me to follow up with on this specific document, you can actually dismiss it from your inbox. So as you follow up with documents, as you check on your documents and have done whatever you need to do for those specific documents, you can actually clear those notifications out from your dashboard. And that will allow you to keep your dashboard nice and clean, and so that you're only working or only following up on documents that actually appear in your QuoteWerks dashboard. So it'll show you the first 50 notifications in your dashboard. You can have up to 50 at any one time, and it's kind of the rule of thumb, just every day kind of go through and kind of clear your dashboard, make sure you didn't miss anyone that you wanted to follow up with. There's a couple different options. When you click on the dashboard, or when you click on a notification in the dashboard, you'll actually see these little icons, and they mean various things. So like checkmark means it's been accepted. This means it's been viewed. This means they viewed the PDF. This means they posted a question. This means they changed an option. And once they've made payment, there'll be a little $ in there once they've made the full payment on the document as well. So all that information is available. You can always click View to open this document in QuoteValet. If you want to open the document in QuoteWerks, you can click on the Open/Sync. And when you open a document from QuoteValet in QuoteWerks that hasn't been opened yet, QuoteWerks will automatically check QuoteValet for any changes. So if the customer's selected or deselected options, if they change their payment option, if they posted a comment, anything like that, QuoteWerks will actually sync up with QuoteValet and retrieve any of that information and pull that down for you. The second tab is a reporting tab. This is going to provide you with some quick reports you can run inside of QuoteValet. For instance, one of my favorites is not viewed yet. So if you want to say, show me all my quotes for this month that haven't been viewed yet, I don't have any, so that's great. But if I did, it would show me a list of those documents here. And then I know that these are documents I probably want to follow up with my customer, especially if it's something I sent last week. Customer hasn't looked at it. Gives me a good reason to give them a call, pick up the phone, call them, send them an email, just kind of check in with them. So that provides you some information there. There's also the ability where you can check on documents where the customer has accepted, but they haven't paid yet. So you have that option, so you know you need to follow up to get payment. And there's also a good one for documents that are expiring. So any documents that are expiring, let's say in this month, we'll see a list of those documents here. So again, it gives me another reason to follow up with my customers. So there's some nice quick reporting that you can run as a sales rep and really see kind of documents that you want to follow up on for specific customers. And then finally, the payments tab. This is going to show you any payments that have come in to QuoteValet. So when a customer makes a payment, whether it's a full payment or partial payment or a progress payment, you'll see a notification here that a payment has been made. It's just kind of like another check for you. So if you wanted to only see documents that have been paid today, you click on the payments tab. That'll show you a list, like maybe in the morning, you come to the payments tab first, see which ones you have payments for, and go ahead and, process those orders first before moving on with anything else in your document. Okay. So this information is really useful. Obviously, your inbox and your dashboard information. With your QuoteValet subscription, you also have access to QuoteValet Insight. Now, QuoteValet Insight is just a reporting engine for QuoteValet. Basically provides you all the information that you could possibly want through your web browser. So if for some reason you don't have access to QuoteWerks, you can actually open up a web browser on your phone, on your mobile device, on your desktop like I have here, and you can actually view the various options. So the first one's going to be your dashboard. So you can go to your inbox. So this is just like your QuoteValet inbox in QuoteWerks, where you can actually see the document information. You can click on the activity history, and this will show you all the activity history for that document. You can even click on open to open this document in QuoteWerks Web if you're using QuoteWerks Web. That'll link to it. You also have the option to send a note. So if you want to send a note to maybe someone on your sales team, maybe you're out of the office and you saw that the customers viewed the quote 3 times today, or they posted a comment and you don't have time to give the customer a call, you could send a note to someone on your team to give them a call for you. So basically the same functionality you have in your inbox in QuoteWerks Desktop, you have here through QuoteValet Insight. We also have the peer reviews and approvals dashboard. So if you are requesting approval for any of the documents, you can actually see which documents need your approval here. You can go to the view approval page. This document's expired, so it won't let me approve it. But if it wasn't expired, you'll actually be able to view that document, and then you can scroll down and you'll actually be able to post an approval here or not approve the document. So it just, again, makes it easier instead of having to be in QuoteWerks to do some of the administrative tasks that you might need to do as a sales manager or something like that. You can do it directly from QuoteValet Insight, if you're out on the road or if you're out in the field, wherever you need to do that. In addition to the approvals dashboard, we also have an executive summary and a My Summary dashboard. The executive summary would typically be for your sales managers, your VP of sales, basically the management team in your company, where they can kind of see how the reps are doing. So if we want to say we'll just do this year, we can see how many quotes we've sent, how many quotes have been accepted, how many quotes have been paid, customer views, customer comments, sales rep comments, and even do a comparative analysis. And you'll actually be able to compare reps against each other. It's my demo installation, so there's not a lot of action going on, obviously, but this just gives you kind of a good idea or a good feel for what that information would look like. And so, for instance, if we clicked on comparative analysis, this would actually let us be able to, let me see if there's we'll do last year. This will let us compare our sales reps against each other so we can see how the various sales reps are doing in QuoteWerks, how many quotes they've sent, how many have been converted to orders, how many orders have been paid, that type of information. So you can quickly see that information without having to run any complicated reporting in QuoteWerks. The My Summary is very similar to the Executive Summary, except it's specific for your user in QuoteValet. So by default, a sales rep may not have access to the Executive Summary, but they'll have access to their summary so they can see how many quotes they've sent out in a specific time frame, how many have been accepted, how many have been paid. Really, really useful if you do any kind of closure rates or commission reports that the sales reps need to put together. They can see that information as well. Just makes it a lot easier for them to kind of track their own sales information. And then additionally, we have what we call a status board. And the status board basically provides you with additional information, kind of like the most important notifications that come through during the day. You'll actually see these notifications. We actually have this in our office. It's up on TV. So it's really, really useful for the sales team is that they can see, if someone's out of the office, they can see that, hey, so-and-so got an order came through, go ahead and process that order for them. Or, oh, so-and-so posted a comment, that person's out. Let's go ahead and make sure we respond to that comment before the the end of the day, that kind of thing. So just provide some more insight and some more information about what's going on with the documents. And then there is a fine. So if you wanted to look up a specific document number by name or sold to company, you can do that as well. And that's part of the QuoteValet document information. Okay, so that's QuoteValet Insight. And like I said, that's included in the QuoteValet subscription. In addition to the QuoteValet subscription, we also have QuoteValet Mobile. And QuoteValet Mobile is, this is going to look a little weird because it's not really designed to be used in a web browser on a desktop, but it'll kind of work. And this is where it allows you to create quotes kind of on the road, on the fly. So if you have a tablet, works best on a tablet, you can kind of work it on a phone. We really recommend a tablet though, just because you need the extra space. But you can use QuoteValet Mobile to create templated quotes. And what I mean by templated quotes is basically you set up template quotes in QuoteWerks, assign them to QuoteValet Mobile, and then when you select them, it'll actually load those items for you. And then you can make some minor adjustments, like you can choose who you're going to send it to, so their email address, their name, company name, phone number, that type of thing. You can also choose, change like the quantity. You can change the item's price and the description. You can remove the items, that type of thing. But that's kind of it. So it's a very simplified way of creating a quote kind of on the road. So if you're going to a site and you know that the customer is going to need, one of 15 items, you could create a template with those 15 items available, and then you could select from a template the specific items they need, how many they need, and actually send them the quote right to then and there, and even have the customer sign off. So you can actually deliver it to them, click on the documents here, go to the customer view mode, and then that would open it up in QuoteValet so the customer can electronically sign right then and there, right in front of you, so you can collect payment and start moving that forward. So that's just another step of QuoteValet that's in part of the subscription that comes with it. So it's kind of a very specific way to use it, but it is available, and so you're not having to pay like extra for it or anything like that. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it, kind of start to finish of using QuoteValet and a lot of the features and functionality. There's quite a bit available for it. We are offering free trials, so if you're interested in testing it out and seeing if it's going to be, really useful for your company, just let me know. Put in your information in the questions box that you'd like a trial, or just send an email to sales@QuoteWerks.com and we could set you up with the trial. I do see some questions that have come in, so I'm going to start to answer those. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording as well. So thank you everyone for attending. For those of you that have questions or posted a question, just hang on the line and I'll start to go through those.